This production comes to you in association with the Bluebell Warrington. Situated in an 18th century building in the town centre and just a 5-minute walk from the HJ Stadium, the Bluebell is the perfect destination for pre- and post-game food and drink. The 2024 Warrington Pub of the Year is now the official home of Super League Raw on Warrington Wolves match days for both home and away supporters. Super League Raw are delighted to have agreed a members-only area, allowing our community to come together to discuss Rugby League pre- and post-match. So set your course to the Bluebell Warrington on match days and beyond. You are sure to be greeted with a warm welcome and a cold beer. Super League Raw and the Bluebell, the perfect partnership in enhancing your match day experience. So good evening and welcome to Super League Raw Weekly. In the house with me is Joel. Joel's in nice and early. Good evening, Joel. Are you well?
Good evening. Yeah, good, thank you.
And Mr. Sale is all festive. Good to see you, Mr. Sale.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening indeed. And Reggie will be joining us. He's just playing in the background at some point. He'll be with us. We'll keep an eye out for Reg. Reg will be joining us at some point. Good evening to everybody already in the chat. Let's have a quick look who we got already. We've got Carla Collier, we've got Eva Bailey, we've got Andy Bibbs with us. Dawn Kirkby is with us as well. We've got Mark Hill. Good evening to all of you. AD Simpson is in there as well. Nigel Bennett, Carl Shaw. Get all your comments coming as we go through the chat this evening. Absolutely wonderful. Like I say, Greg will be joining us presently. Only a couple of shows left between now and the ho merriment of Christmas, boys. 2 to go, I count it as being, before we have our Christmas break.
Not long before Santa Claus is here. Everyone's getting excited, as you can see. And yeah,
have you been a good boy, Mr. Sale? Have you been a good boy?
I wouldn't go that far, but no, we're looking forward to it, and it's a few weeks closer to the season starting, isn't it? So lots to look forward to.
Yes, friendlies galore on the way. Friendlies galore, as Greg Roach says. Good evening. Good to see you, Mr. Roach. Right, let's crack in straight away. Let's go. Let's remind people of what we announced last week. This very, very important occasion on the 18th of February, 7 till 10 p.m. You need to be there. Action for Alfie. We're going to be raising money for young Alfie Sales to make sure he gets as much done on his bucket list as possible. If you've not been following our journey with Alfie, then by all means, go to Alfie's page and you'll hear all about his brave battle with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. I'll get that out in one sentence. And we're going to be together with Danny Walker, Steve McNamara, and more special guests will be announced between now and the 18th of February. It is during the half term. Only £12.50 a ticket. It includes your hot pot supper. It's going to be a great night of entertainment down at the Bluebell. If you live around Warrington, Wigan, Leigh, all those surrounding areas, Joel's even coming with a posse from Huddersfield to support what is going to be an incredible occasion. Please do come and join us for that incredible night for young Alfie Sales. Right. Okay, boys, let's get into some debate and merriment. We'll start off with England. No mid-season international for England has been confirmed, which basically means their next match will be when they take on Tonga. Yeah. Thoughts, gentlemen? Thoughts?
Not ideal preparation, is it, given the series we've just had against Oz? I'd have thought that they wanted to maybe try something different, put some different people in there, some fresh faces, maybe a bit more youth than the ones that missed out this time, Danny Walker, people like that. But no, looks like we're going straight into it, which will be ideal preparation for us.
Well, straight in. I'll come to you in a minute, Joel, but straight into the super chats this evening is Volstagg. He's happy with the appointment of Matty Lees becoming the Saints captain. Joel, do you want to start there? Matty Lees, Saints captain, taking over from Johnny Lomax. Are you as happy as Volstagg is for the Saints?
Yeah, it's great. He's put the work in, and he definitely is a quality player. He's a more senior head now there, which is good, and hopefully, he can marshal the troops around the field, because this upcoming year is going to be a really tough one. The teams have really put in a good effort. I know we're going to talk about them a bit later, but the teams have put in a massive effort into the recruitment drive. So Saints have got a big year coming up. So Matty's got a big job there. It's not as easy as what some people may think. Being a captain, it's quite a graft, and it's a big responsibility. But big responsibility comes with great privilege. So good luck to him.
Absolutely. And your thoughts on the England not having a game prior?
Well, the thing is, there's pros and cons with all of it. I think the good thing for the players is the fact that they can focus on the league, and they don't have to worry about so much about any potential injuries that the international camp brings, because it always does. Because when you're playing for your country, you always put that extra bit in. But also, there's the thing of not having as much time together. So you've got to weigh up the pros and cons with it. But I think it's a good thing, personally, because it's going to make for a potentially better Super League season. And then when time comes for the internationals, they'll be more ready for it. The last thing you want them is to kill them off with extra training and extra games that they might not necessarily need throughout the season.
I mean, this comes back to your argument over Magic, Steph. I mean, if you're, I'll say Sean Wayne because he's still in post, but some sort of Lancashire Yorkshire game instead of Magic, with it being a World Cup year, it's a loop fixture, and as much as we're going to go to Magic and we'll enjoy the weekend, if England and the Rugby Football League were really serious about going down there and having a proper go, you can't go up against the quality of opposition that England are going to go up against down in the Southern Hemisphere with no preparation. It just seems a little bit like it's a white flag before we start.
Yeah, it does, and I think for me, I would much rather have not seen Magic and it be no loop fixtures at all, as the original point of it was. And you could have easily done, an Origin game in there, which would have been great. You could have even done an Exiles game. That would have been a really good warm up for England rather than playing France. Obviously, that comes with risk of injury, which is what clubs don't like. But there's no more risk with that than having an extra round in Magic. So for me, it would have been ideal. And also for the ones that aren't playing, an ideal opportunity to have a week's rest as well. So, but that's the decision that's been made, and we'll ride with it, and we'll enjoy Magic.
Well, Phil Webster's disappointed that as yet there is still no official announcement on Sean Wayne. I can understand his frustration with regards to that. So that's the first thing out of the way. England, no preparation for the World Cup. There you go. Yes. In other, where was going to go then, boys? Where was going to go? My brain's all over the place, as you'd expect, with so much. Oh, that was where I was going to go. For the members out there, a week yesterday, Wednesday, our annual general meeting. Yes, replacing the Wednesday night social next week will be the members' annual general meeting where you can come on screen with me. We're going to tell you our plans for the 2026 season. Not all of them. There's going to be a few surprises that we'll be unveiling next year for you. But as always, like we did last year, we're going to get together with our members and cast your opinions on what's working, what improvements you'd like us to make. So members, put that in your diary. If you don't normally do socials, make sure you come on the Wednesday night social next week. Your opinion matters here at Super League Raw. We want to give you as much of the content as you want. There's big changes coming for 2026, but one thing that remains absolute, that is, of course, Super League Raw Weekly. Yes, I changed the day to Thursday this week, but I had a great time at Step Into Christmas at the Crew Lyceum. I have to say, I was doing a bit of shaking Stevens. I don't mind telling you. Me and my little girl, we were doing a duet to the Fairy Tale of New York. It was all good. Ho, ho, ho fun. So I'm not going to apologise for that. It had to be done. Right, speaking of which, here he comes, Santa himself. Good evening, Reg.
Good evening.
Absolutely marvellous. Outstanding. Good evening, sir. You're not really missing an awful lot. We've talked England, but we're going to move on at a pace, sir. We're going to move on at a pace. So yes, just saying, Reggie, next week on Wednesday, the Wednesday night social will be the annual general meeting of Super League Raw, where the members can come to have a chat with us and tell us what they've enjoyed and what they would like us to improve. So if you're not a member, well, become a member. Everything you need is in that QR code there, and come and join us for the first time, maybe at the annual general meeting. It was a good one last year. Some great ideas came out of it.
Yeah, it was.
We put some into play. Right, okay, let's go into the fixtures, and we're going to start here. Welcome back to Super League, Mark Applegarth. Deary me, your nights have been absolutely done from the Rugby Football League. Look at this for a start for them. Unbelievable. It's not a very pleasant start, is it, for York Knights and Mark Applegarth, Steph?
No, it's a baptism of fire, definitely for them. But this is what York as a club have wanted, isn't it? You know, to play the best sides, to be right up there in Super League. And it's going to be interesting to see how they perform. But as we know, sometimes the start of the season can be the best times to get these types of clubs, because you know some of these have made wholesale changes. You know, Huddersfield have brought loads of players in, haven't they? They're going to be a pretty newish side next year. As a Warrington, you know, what the change Warrington have had to make. So I think it's a good time for York to really get battle hard in the Super League, and even if they get a few big defeats, there's no shame in that. Everyone's expecting against some of these sides to be a bit of a cricket score. So anything less than that is a bonus for York, and hopefully it'll give them some confidence going into the rest of the season if they can get a few. Well, you can get a win against one of those sides would be fantastic, but even some narrow losses will boost their confidence massively.
Absolutely. And Joel, second game, they're coming to the Huddersfield Giants, and I presume, Joel, you're looking forward to that one.
Very much so. I feel for them on that game. I think that's the toughest one out of all of them six. It's not. I think the first one's an easy win for them. It's not like they won treble or anything like that, is it? So yeah, that'll be a decent first game. But yeah, it's going to be really good. Interestingly though, for York, because they're playing some cracking teams in there that were destined to have a good season. If they've said that they could pick up even just a scalp or two, and yes, I understand that could come from us. It would bode them really, really well, especially when it comes to round 7, when you start to get the idea of where people may or may not be. Obviously, it's never a dead set. We know that, but we kind of get an idea of how the teams have got on from about round 7. So, yeah, 6 rounds in, and they've got a win or 2. You know, they're certainly not on the bottom of the table. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting, certainly for us. Like Steph said, we have got a lot of new people come in and players that came in last season that didn't get to play because of injury. So it is like a brand new squad. And you know, I don't think it's going to be like it was last year. We've got some good quality players that have come from Oz as well, certainly from the Queensland Cup and New South Wales team. So yeah, very much looking forward to watching them play. But yeah, excited for York. That's going to be a really good fixture, that.
Well, yeah, it should be a good game, second game in. And I've already got my hotel accommodation booked for the 6th of March. I'm going to make the pilgrimage down to York for that one. I think it's a Friday night game, I think.
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's going to go down. I've already told the missus, get it booked off. We're going to York for a night. Lovely stuff. Great part of the world, that is. Looking forward to that. But yeah, Mark Applegarth, I do indeed Fair for you. But welcome back to Super League, Mark. I bet when he woke up and saw those fixtures, he thought, ouch. But once they're gone, though, Greg, they're gone, aren't they? Once they're finished, he's getting a bit of pretty heavy artillery out the way there early doors.
Well, he is, and who'd have thought Wakefield would have won it heading into the first game up last season. So these things happen. Leigh, a few years ago, pushed Wigan all the way. So there's no reason why first game up they can't do it. It's a difficult ask. But I think like Joel said, they'll know exactly where they stand after these 6 games, and sometimes it's not such a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's not such a bad thing.
Yeah,
a lot of chat. I mean, a lot of chat going on about Kalepi Tang. We were going to do that when we go around the grounds, but we'll do it now. Reggie. Kalepi Tang. I've been down to Padgate today. Spent a couple of hours with the squad, and we've down there at Warrington today. Spoke to Kalepi as well. He's for those Robins fans who are worried about Kalepi coming over to the other side of the Pennines. Let me tell you, he's in fine fettle. He's looking forward to the new season. Is Kalepi Tang? I can tell you that. Personally, Greg, I think Warrington should have got him 2 years ago when KR got him. I think, he's a hell of a player, Kalepi Tang. It's a good addition. He's a player that, in that second row area that he plays, of course, that's where he would play second row. Warrington haven't got a player like Kalepi Tang. The last one of his ilk was probably Benny Westwood. Of course, the last one really of his ilk was probably Ben Murdoch-Masilla. Warrington have lacked that bit of punching power in second row for a while, haven't they?
Yeah, he reminds me a little bit of David Solomona, if you remember David Solomona.
Well, he was more prop, wasn't he, though?
Well, no, he came in as he's played second row for us. He's maybe not got he might prove me wrong. He's maybe not got the ball handling skills that Solomon had, because they were phenomenal. Yeah. But yeah, you're right in what you say. A second row that comes on as an enforcer is something that Warrington have missed. We've had kind of, we've looked more towards the classy style of second row. They'll run lines and they'll make spaces and not kind of create the gaps. I think this could be the perfect foil for someone like a Holdroyd or a Sam Stone next season. And like you say, we spoke a couple of years ago about Tang, a perfect signing for Warrington then before he went to KR. Same as Jai Whitbread as well. I think we talked about him. When we've been on about strengthening our pack for quite a few years now, and I've won. I saw him in Warrington Town Centre with Hopewati and Josh Smith and Sam Stone on Saturday. He's a big lad. He's a big lad. So hopefully he'll do the same kind of business that we know him well for us.
Well, if Hopewati stays fit, that could be one of the. Trust me,
that could be an edge.
That could be very, very interesting for the Warrington Wolves. There's no doubt about that. Keep your eye out for Albert Hopewati. That'd be an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, bottom line, I think there's a lot of fluidity now at Warrington in terms of backline and in the front row. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens over the course of the season at the wire. But yeah, Kalepi, impact player in the second row on the edges. Give that guy a ball on the edge, 10 metres out more often than not. He's going to go very close to the line. So that's going to be interesting. A little bit of a chat there. It's close season. I'm happy to rock and roll with the punches, folks. Don't you worry about that. We're in good festive spirit here. You know what I mean? In a minute, we're going to break out into a bit of Chris Rea for you. That's what we say. No, well, maybe not. Maybe not Chris Rea. Maybe somebody of more stature. But anyway, that's by the by. Right, let's... I'll tell you what, boys, just as a filler, I thought, you know what? Games of the round, interesting games. Get the mouth, get those tastes. I mean, I know the turkey's on the way with a cranberry sauce, but let's get the taste buds going. New season, lads. New season. Here we go. Look at these fixtures. Right, let's go through them. Just picked out some games for you. So round one, Leigh against Leeds. 2 teams, 3rd and 4th last season. What a belter we've got there in round 1 to look forward to. Quickly followed by the World Club Championship. KR against the Broncos. Round 2, same week. Saints take on Leigh. Big game. Then Battle of the Borough. Wigan against Leigh. Game. Then round 4, Trinity against FC. 6th against 7th last season. That'll be an interesting one. Then round 5, we've got the Bulls going to Huddersfield. Nice close little derby there, back on the horizon. That's a nice little game, isn't it? Round 6, the Rhinos take on the Wire. Always a good fixture. Round 7, Saints go up against Wigan, first time around. Then it's back to the Huddersfield for the journey of Leeds. Then in round 9, we've got Wire against Wigan. Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Every week, games with narrative. Then we've got the great game ahead. And can Trinity go back to back at Headingley? Go on, Trin. Go on the train. Then we've got Wigan taking on Leeds the week after. Then it's the first time KR take on Wigan. Ooh, wonderful. Then it's got Bradford against York in round 13. Then we go to round 14. Round 14, we've got the Wire taking on the Saints at the Totally Wicked. Then it's KR League. Lovely game in round 15. Castleford taking on York, where York established themselves as the finest club in that section of the country. That'll be interesting, Simo, won't it? Then round 17, we've got KR taking on FC and, of course, Magic. Then Warrington Wigan the week after at the Brick. Then Toulouse taking on York. You know, first against second in the Championship, playing in Super League. Beautiful fair. Then we've got Trinity, further proving how far Castleford have gone down the pecking order, because they're going to, you know, they've got that at Trin. Hello, good evening again to Simo. Then round 21, we've got the Battle of the Borough 2. Then we've got, do you know what? I think round 22 there, you've got the returning Saints. You know, all those play. It was Leigh last year. Now it's the Saints lads that have gone to FC. So they're going to go back to the Totally Wicked in round 22. Lovely stuff. Then Wakefield take on Saints at Trin. That should be a good game. Then we've got York taking on Leeds. Then it's Wigan against Hull KR again. Then Bradford take on Cass, another mouth-watering Yorkshire bit of fair. And then Saints taking on KR. Beautiful. Lovely stuff. That's a great, loads to look forward to. Brewdog Dave, not Totally Wicked. Ah, well, what's a Totally Wicked and a Brewdog between friends?
Details.
Yeah, all about the yes. Volstag's getting a bit precious there. Anyway, not to worry. But yeah, look, bottom line is, and people say, oh, that's not the time around. So we can't have the same teams in the time. You've got to spread the love, folks. All I'm saying to you is, there's 27 rounds of absolute wonderful rugby league on the way. Narrative galore. What a great week last week was. Boys, suddenly you can smell it, can't you? Breathing deep. The new season, it's on the horizon. Hey, who needs Jack Frost nipping at your nose, boys, when you've got the new Super League season on the horizon? Everybody's getting giddy. Me too. Fantastic stuff. Right, let's get into this. Banging or hanging? Yes, hanging or banging. Let's get into the shirts. The Las Vegas warm-up shirt of the Robins boys. What we're making of that one, Joel? Is it a banger? Is it a hanger?
Well, the top half's a banger. The bottom half, I can't tell if it's come from F1 or.
You've been watching Kelly Brook in the jungle, mate. Less of that. Carry on. Top half, bottom half. What are you doing, lad? Come on. Keep it clean. It's on until 9 o'clock. Carry on.
All round, it's a nice shirt. I do like on the sleeve the blue with the red. I think it's a very nice touch. That it is. It's a very nice top. I was looking at it earlier, and I was thinking, I wasn't too keen when I first saw it, but it's grown on me a little bit, and I do quite like it. It's a good top, that, and it's for Vegas, isn't it? So it's going to be in your face a little bit. It has to be.
It's absolutely wonderful. Craig Forth, 10 weeks to Super League. He's getting excited. He's breathing it in deep. He knows it's on the way. Good lad. And Dawn Kirby's picking up her Vegas shirt tomorrow. Dawn's very, very happy about that. Your thoughts on this one, Mr. Sale? Is it a banger? Is it a hanger? What are you going?
Oh, it's a banger.
You're banging. Banging,
yeah, really nice. And I think they've done a really good job of, the amalgamation between the American Vegas theme. It's a lovely top, and I'm sure the KR fans will have a great time wearing that with pride in Sin City.
Absolutely. Reggie, you happy with that one, mate?
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's great. Just it's great and gaudy like Las Vegas is. Like Warrington's training shirts last year for Vegas were great. Yeah, I really like it. It.
Well, look, we went there last week, but Joel went into hiding last week, so we brought it back. We brought it back just for Joel because he was giddy 2 weeks ago. Joel, this is your alternative strip. It's a lovely thing, that, Joel. You were getting dead excited about this. Can we have your comments this week on Weekly in terms of Huddersfield's away shirt?
I'll confirm it's lilac and charcoal.
Charcoal.
Yeah,
not green.
Lilac and charcoal.
Not green.
Don't let the facts get into the detail here, mate. What do you make of the shirt?
It's disgusting. I can't stand it. It's horrible. It is horrible. Yeah. Well, look at Sam's face.
Says it all. I mean, I'm not being funny. It's like he's come down to open his stock into a load of coal. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's like proper fed up there, isn't he?
Well, if you saw Jack Billington, they covered him with a Giants flag walking in the place. I'm surprised they didn't keep it on him, even when he was stood on stage.
Yeah,
shocking behaviour. That
it is.
shocking.
I just wanted your comment because you were getting giddy 2 weeks ago. You were dead happy going, "Oh, I have alternative shirts out, Dave, on Friday," and then that little beauty landed. Deary me, bond it, bin it. I say. Anyway,
it's got people talking.
Well, absolutely. Anyway, it's been teased at Castleford. It's been teased at Huddersfield. Here is the real McCoy FC fans. There it is. They have donned the bikini top of the Warrington Wolves from last year. Well done. You can't, once you've seen it, you can't get it out of your mind. There it is, the new Hull FC shirt. A lot of disappointed Hull FC fans. They like the hoops down at Hull FC. They really do, as opposed to the black bikini top. Your thoughts on this one, Mr. Say? It's clean. It's a clean shirt.
Well, it's an itsy bitsy teeny weeny black and white polka dot bikini, isn't it? So it's no. I think the least I say on shirts, the better. He sees that he's not.
Well, that's coming. It's coming. Don't worry about that. It's coming. But that said, just if in case I forget to say it, what a promotional video. Got to give him his due for that. What a video that was. Rivals the Paul Rowley unveiling. Incredible stuff. But Reggie, what are you making of the FC shirt, mate?
Well, one reason I didn't buy the Warrington home top last year was because it did nothing for my moobs. So I reckon it's the same with this one. Yeah, you're right. It's clean. I don't know what it is with this kind of this V that's cut off halfway along. Sponsorship thing, maybe. Yeah. Once you see the bikini top, you can't unsee it.
Well, all of it. I did tell you when you went to try on the last year's home shirt to take your push-up bra with you, but you didn't listen to me.
I did, but he did nothing for me.
Did he not? That didn't work either. Oh, well, never mind. Not to worry. But there it is in all of its glory. The real McCoy. Forget the Huddersfield and the Castleford imitations. There is the Hull FC shirt for 2026.
But then they're imitating two other clubs. So what do they think they're playing at?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. But what I will tell you is this, Joe, right? Get your Stone Roses on. Boom, hey, come on. I have to say, if you like your Stone Roses, you like the new Leigh Leopard shirt. That is very Stone Roses. That is. It's got to be said. Steph, I mean, if you're going to launch a shirt, that's the way. I mean, no expense spared there from Mr. Beaumont, was there? It's a proper do that.
Yeah, no, it was a really good launch video, and it goes into Leigh's mantra. If you do things if you don't do things differently, you're just the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So that is very much a motto that Leigh follow, and yeah, that the kit won't be for everybody. It does actually look better in person with where I saw the players wearing it last night, and it's actually a leopard hide. It's meant to be like a hiding leopard.
On the right side, yeah.
Yeah, it's like one of those. Can you spot the leopard kind of thing in the Serengeti? And it's actually like leaves and stuff on there, there's quite a lot of detail in it. But yeah, I totally understand this shirt will not be for everybody. But the Leigh fans will lap it up. As simple as that. And 4,500 already have bought it. So they probably more than most people most clubs have sold. So does it really matter?
Well, it does. What I would say is, Greg, you'd have to say it's better than last year's. It's a lot better than last year's. And like I say, if you like a bit of Indian, a bit of Stone Roses, Greg, you're all over this one, mate.
Well, they clearly want to be adored, don't they?
Boom!
There we go.
Boom!
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it. And if you do stare at it long enough, you get a 3D leopard's head that comes out at you.
You do, yeah. And if you look really hard, you can see the waterfall.
Yes.
Oh.
Don't bang the drum now, Dave.
No, I'm trying not to.
So, no, do you know what? I really like it. I think it's a bit left field. It's a bit unusual, as Steph says. It's a talking point. Love it all, hate it or love it. I really, really like it. I think it's a really nice, classy top.
Absolutely. Joe, will this be their resurrection to the top?
Well, Carla put in the comments, not to hold back and speak my mind. Well, do I ever not do? Let me tell you, that is a beautiful top. I love that.
Good lad. There you go, Joel. It makes sense. Happy days. But no, do you know what? Fair play to Derek again. Fair play to him. Great promotional video. Brilliant launch. And do you know what? It's probably the best one since the rebrand, I think, in terms of a home shirt. I like the black one. I thought the black one the other year was really smart. Obviously, we still see the away. But in terms of as far as home shirts go, I think that's the best. That's the best they've done thus far.
I think the big thing with this one is that it's under Derek's new performance clothing brand in Debo Performance, and very interesting. Widnes Vikings have already signed up to that as well, and I believe there's more clubs looking at doing it, and it's all to do with this looking after ourselves in house and cutting out middlemen, and also I think from a quality point of view, the stuff that Leigh, even from Reebok last year, wasn't the best quality. So this I know has been sourced from the best suppliers and all that kind of thing. So it could be a stroke of genius. And the Lamborghini in the Debo, Lamborghini SVJ in the Debo print and everything looked absolutely insane. So, and this is the first part of it because it's the Debo Performance, I believe, which is all the sportswear, but there's also going to be a Debo fashion element to it as well. So watch this space in terms of that, and you've got to take your hat off to Derek in terms of his vision, and he's been out in China. I know he's been in Germany, doing all sorts of stuff in terms of launching Debo and sourcing the right stuff. So let's hope it's a success and more clubs get on the Debo brand.
Well, absolutely. Widnes supporting the Leigh Leopards.
Is he going to be supplying to amateur clubs as well? So
he already has. So Goulburn Parkside have already launched with it as well. So yeah, it's kind of a soft launch with Leigh, Widnes, and Goulburn. But who knows? But I think the big thing is to give value for money for the clubs as well. So it won't just be a use it because it's rugby league. It's going to be more beneficial, cost effective for clubs to use the Debo brand as well, I believe. So yeah, it's thinking outside the box, and that's love it or hate Derek. The one thing he does do is innovate and come up with new things and really go that extra mile, which other people who mock him would never do.
Cost effective, mate. Cost effective to make his own shirts, and if other teams are going to buy his shirts, more money into the coffers for the Leigh Leopards. It's absolute genius if you're asking me. And of course, his fireworks bit on the side as well, just wrapping all ends up. I have to like Steve Rudge. A couple of weeks back we were purring all over Wakefield Trinity shirt. He's back in the chat. He wants us to do it again. Trinity shirt's immense, Steve. Immense. It's a quality bit of thread. I have to say, if I was a Wakey fan, I'd be all over it. I'm not, but if I was, I'd be all over it. It'd probably be in the cupboard, mate. Wonderful piece of thread, that. Great stuff. You wouldn't do your
lovely shirt.
You wouldn't do your polishing with that. Nah, you wouldn't do that. No, beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Well done. Right. Should we tip a wink here to Paul Sykes? I don't know if you've seen this, boys, but Paul Sykes, at the merry age of 44, will be playing his 28th season in 2026. I mean, that's just insane. Playing the hardest game possibly in the world, Rugby League. And at 44, he's going round for the 28th time. Paul, sir, if you're watching, cheers, fella. That is well worthy of us putting a glass in the air for you. What an effort that is, Joel. Go on, lad.
That's incredible. I'm 35 and the thought of it makes me wince. So 44. Whew, good on him.
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. Reggie, we broke the news with Phil Ben from it's almost yesterday's chip paper. This one, but yeah, the rule changes. I have to say though, there has been the thing that caught my eye was that if the kicking process is corrupted, as in the ball falls off the tee, the clock will be stopped. How many balls are going to fall off tees next year, do you think, Greg? I'm not talking wind.
I was going to say, those stadiums can get windy in the middle of July. Well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? We'll have to wait and see. I prefer the good old days where you got a pile of sand or you kicked a hole in the pitch and somebody put the finger on top of the ball. The good old days. Bring that back.
Old days.
Bring that back.
But again, it's going to look. I don't want to. I think, in principle, these changes that Phil announced, we got it. It was an exclusive, wasn't it? We Phil that the changes that he announced. I think, in principle, the great changes.
Mate, yeah.
But
they're getting rid of the try or no try.
They need to.
You know how I feel about that.
It's how they're administered, and I feel that's the bit now that we all just need to sit back, relax, and see what happens there. But yeah, they have been given the green light. We look forward to seeing them next year. Right, we've got to go there. Be amiss of us not to. We've stayed on the outside of this, and of course we have. I'm going to go as far as to say that yesterday was a great day for Salford Red Devils fans. I'm actually going to say that. I can't, I'm going to, because it's been long overdue. There is now a clear line in the sand, and everybody can move forward. And I think that, Steph, you've had a lot to say during the season with regards to this. Our thoughts, and I have to say, I think the vast majority of the support that Salford as a club has been given over the last 24 hours has been exemplary from around the league. I've not seen any village idiots, which is unbelievable, really. But I've not. I think to a man, woman, and child, people have got complete sympathy for Salford, the club. They want them to resurrect and be great going forward. But would you go as far as to say this is just I think for the like of Matt and that, the nightmare is now over. They can start to believe again.
Yeah, I think line in the sand is the right words to use. There was no way in the memory of man they were going to get someone to come in and take on board and service that debt. Why would you, be creating? It wasn't. I think it was £5 million plus. The debt. So you'd have to be, in billionaire territory really to be able to just wipe that off as a nothing. So yeah, unfortunately, that's what liquidation's for, isn't it? And the main thing now is that they can form some form of consortium or get the right people involved. And again, not to blow smoke up Derek's backside, but I believe Derek's been getting involved with potential new things in terms of how to do it and a path forward for them, which, to do that off his own back again is great. And hopefully he can show them a blueprint to move forward. Obviously, they're going to have to take baby steps. They're going to be in the Championship. The ground, I think, is going to be massive for them because to be playing at the what was the AJ Bell at Salford Community Stadium, is it? No, I don't think that'll work for them with how much that costs. I think it may be a more prudent move by them to approach Salford City, right in the middle of that size of ground, move back into the centre of Salford, and try and reignite that fan base. And I'm sure the fans, we know there's a core fan base there that are capable of being a Super League fan base. Yeah, they're not the highest in Super League by any way, but they've got enough. But I think that would be my first steps, move away from that stadium. Whether it's as easy as that, I don't know. I'm presuming because they don't exist anymore, it would be because you're a newco in effect, so you form your own agreements.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, this needed to happen for the future of Salford. And although Salford Red Devils Limited or whatever it is has died now in liquidation, we might see one rising from the flames.
Well, that's it. And I think the interesting thing here, Reggie, is that, again, I tell you what's going to be interesting, the name of the club. Because obviously we saw Manchester Swinton Lionesses come out of the woodwork. We need a Manchester presence. And when I say Manchester, a central Manchester presence. I mean, Salford's as close as you're going to get in Rugby League territory. We need that. Again, this bit about growing the sport. We need a proper Manchester club, don't we?
We do, but
might be calling them Manchester. But you get my point.
Yeah, we do, but I don't know whether Salford would be the one to do that. I know what you're getting at. Would they rebrand as Manchester Salford, like Swinton and Manchester Swinton, the Lionesses? I think Salford need to consolidate now to keep some sort of identity, at least for the next few years, and build themselves as a Phoenix club. Salford 1873 or something like that. And I agree with Steph. They need to relocate into the centre of Salford. And maybe a partnership with Salford City Reds, with a class of 93, whoever's left for that lot to kind of come into some sort of partnership with them. I think, it could be the Manchester Red Devils in a few years. I think importantly for Salford, I think they need to keep that Salford identity because Salford as a club no longer exists. So for a Phoenix club like Bury, like Bury in football,
they
need to keep that identity, to keep that line going, and then maybe a rebrand when they've re-established themselves, maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. We may well have a Manchester team come into Super League then. We don't know, but for the time being, I know what you mean, and yeah, we do need a sort of presence We could argue we need a Liverpool presence as well with Magic Weekend and with the Ashes tests. But you wouldn't get St Helens rebranding or Widnes rebranding as Liverpool Widnes or Liverpool St Helens. We've already got a Liverpool St Helens Rugby Union club.
We don't need
I
it,
think we
Reggie,
need
though.
to
That's
consolidate.
sorry, just to jump in there, though, but Salford is a city in its own right. It
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
doesn't need Manchester. But most rugby league clubs are towns. Salford is a city. It doesn't need to be called Manchester. Clubs like Swinton, yes, absolutely. That is a town within Manchester. Salford is a city in its own right, and the whole thing with that club. If you took Salford away from that club, then you've lost it. You may as well not bother. That club has got enough supporters to survive and carry on as Salford. It's a city in its own right. It doesn't need Manchester.
Yeah, that's what you're right. We need to consolidate the Salford name.
But you say that, and look, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying where Salford's concerned. But if you go to Volandis, he'd want a Manchester, he'd want a Liverpool, he wants a London. Because from a world perspective, it just changes the narrative, isn't it? And as a sport, that's one of the things on the world stage that it just sells, doesn't it? It's easy. It's a Manchester club. But anyway, that's by the by. But great for Salford fans that this is over, Joel. And let's hope that now they can couple together a side for 2026. The big thing, though, John, I don't know if you're into the detail on this. Obviously, the second tier has been done on like a weighting, on a ranking system in terms of who's playing who next season. And Salford were ranked, I think, 1. Now, this is the madness of the Rugby Football League. Knowing that this was happening on the 3rd of December, they launched a fixture list. It's already set up. And I've got no confidence that the Rugby Football League are going to rip that up, reduce Salford from rank 1 down to the bottom of the pile and redo the fixture list. I've got no confidence that they're going to do that. So it could be here in the same way that in Super League last season, because of Salford's demise, the fixture list for some was beneficial where Salford was concerned. It's going to be the same again in the Championship, that they're waiting is going to make it easier for a couple of other teams because it's not good. They're going to have to pull together a squad that probably this late in the day isn't going to be as competitive that would service a rank 1, Joe.
Yeah, that is true. But the good thing is these days is with the amount of resources and money that's around from certain people, and if certain consortiums come together quick enough, a club can be created in a quick fashion. Whether it's a competitive squad or not is a total different matter. But you've for any club that's starting out brand new again, you can't expect to start from the top. You've got to start from the bottom. But that's the beauty in the club, though. Salford as a business has died, yes, but the Salford club hasn't died. I think that's going to stay. I totally agree with Steph. I think a Salford City Reds or something like that could be made. And then if that was the case, then you've got the potential, because Manchester's big enough, to have a Manchester club as well as a Salford City club. And then having like St Helens, you could have a Liverpool club as well as having St Helens, because the area is big enough and you've got enough people within the areas. So I think for those that were in Salford now, yes, they could get a club very quickly and probably do something next season, but they wouldn't have a very good club. But that's a good thing, because then they are literally starting from the bottom and they resurrect the Salford club that has currently fallen asleep. That I'd like to put it. I don't want to say it's dying, because I think it's going to resurrect itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think Salford will come again, and good luck to everybody involved with the club. On the topic of Salford, if you haven't seen it, ladies and gentlemen, it's a 2-hour watch, but it's a good watch. Paul Rowley, Eddie McManus talking to St Helens membership forum. Paul setting out his vision for 2026. Well, worth a watch if you like your rugby league to that extent. You want to hear what all that was about. Cracking conversation with Paul. Well worth a watch. Right, let's move on. Let's move on at a pace. Super Kevin Sinfield. He's doing it again. He started on the 1st of December. East Anglia, done. Cork, done. Swansea, done. Sheffield today, done. Our good friend Craig Lingard ran a mile with him today. I spoke to Craig this morning. He was in the car, going to go and meet Sir Kevin to do a mile with him at Sheffield. Mr. Lingard, I know you're watching. I hope your legs are good, mate. It's been a while since you've done a mile. Only joking, Craig. Only joking, Chief. Don't shoot the messenger. Tomorrow, they're off to Cumbria. Saturday, they're in Dundee. And on Sunday, of course, has to finish in Leeds. doesn't it? At 1926 this evening, they had already raised £720,000 this time around. He's on course for yet another £1 million, is Sir Kevin Sinfield. Boys, yet again, I would say all of our captains, because he's that big in our game. He actually, let's be fair, he's a Goliath of our sport now, is Sir Kevin. Another incredible effort. Joel, I'll start with you. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. He's doing it again.
It's outstanding. The fact that he doesn't even like doing it is, just shows just how incredible a man he is. The fact that he does not like it whatsoever. They showed pictures of his feet and how blistered and manky they can be after these runs, and it's, you don't even see that side of it. We know that running a marathon's hard. I struggle running Bath. So, people that are going to do stuff like that, I think he's out of this world. And the fact that he doesn't like doing it, as some people do, it's just testament to the type of guy that he is. And I got a feeling that he's just going to carry on going until he physically can't go anymore. So that's the kind of guy he is, isn't he?
It's incredible. Yeah. Remember, I always remember Airplane 2 where there was a poster of Rocky 200, and there's a guy like that old in the background. That'd be Kevin Sinfield, won't it? Kevin Sinfield, 2050, doing a marathon, and it's like a poster of Kev, like, all like. Oh, but I tell you what, though, if Captain Tom, do you know what I jest though? If Captain Tom can run round his garden like and get a knighthood, during COVID, what's the chances of Sir Kev, doing something similar with a Zimmer frame, mate?
Who's that to me?
That's for you, yeah. Well, I've got to come to you for talking Zimmer frames. Over to you, mate.
Well, of course, I was going to say 2050. I won't be around to see that. You'll have to go to Smith's church in Warrington and tell me what happened. Anyway, good night, everyone. See you next week.
You know David Beckham got his knighthood? Would we say that Kevin Sinfield is like the David Beckham of Rugby League?
He's bigger than David Beckham, mate.
Well, that's my point.
I've seen David Beckham do it's one thing. David Beckham does a lot for charity, but he does it with his face. Let's be fair. He's never put the graft in like Sir Kev's done, has he, to raise the money? So for me, Kevin's on a completely different level. If Kevin Sinfield was a footballer, mate, he'd have a bronze statue in every football playing country.
Yeah, it's a little like comparing apples with oranges. That one, because
but this is my point. He should be given the notoriety of what he deserves for what he's done.
Well, to fair play to the BBC, they don't do a lot for Rugby League, apart from the Challenge Cup and the internationals. But they do. They're all over Kev and his marathon challenges every year. So he does get a lot of publicity for the sport. So you're quite right there. Was the thing I said last week? He's already got an award, so he can't get a knighthood for a couple of years yet. I'm sure he will.
Rules are there to be broken, Mr. Nixon.
Well, let's not get into two-tier care this early in the night. But
if a prince can be stripped of his privileges and his title, then Sir Kevin can be given the title Sir Kevin ahead of schedule. Not getting too political on this show, of course. But ladies and gentlemen, this is that moment in the show where you can join the Super League Raw team. Raise your glasses, gentlemen. Here he comes, Sir Kevin. All the very best to Sir Kev, an absolute legend. For those listening on the podcast, we just put Sir Kev on the screen and toasted him royally, as only Sir Kev deserves to be toasted. 720k. He's probably over 2 at 730 now. Go on, Kev, lad. Absolutely incredible. And little Rob is smiling down on his old buddy, doing the hard graft. Outstanding stuff. Let's go around the grounds, boys. We'll start with Bradford Bulls. And you know what? I feel James Meadows. So James Meadows today has been granted a release from the Bradford Bulls. For those, I was excited in 24 when London brought in. Was it 24? Yeah, it would have been 24, wouldn't it? Yeah, 24. When London brought in James Meadows from Batley. Because that year in 23 at Batley, Meadows was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. And London brought him in. And if you go back to our pre-season shows for 2024 in London, I was really excited about Josh Rourke, Ollie Leyland, and James Meadows. Really,
yeah, you were, yeah,
by him. I thought, it's just not turned out for him. He's still only 26, but yeah, released by the Bradford Bulls today. They've not said where he's going. But what a shame. What a shame.
Yeah, it is.
It's now or never, really.
He got a bad injury, didn't he, early on in that Super League campaign, I think, or he got injured before the season started, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think he came back and he got injured again. So maybe it's just taking its toll on him, because he had, I'm going to say the P word, everyone. Yeah. He had the potential to light up Super League. So,
like I said, I'm only going off the 22-23 seasons at Batley, and I mean, I know you follow the Championship rugby as well, Steph, and James was outstanding, especially in 23. In 23, he had a brilliant season at Batley. Didn't transition into Super League in London. Again, Greg's right. Things got in his way. The form as well of the likes of Leyland and Campaniello as well.
Yeah.
That come in. He played well when he came in, and then he'd gone back to Bradford, and he's going to miss out on Super League more than likely again. He's just not. I'm going to use Greg's word. He just hasn't fulfilled that potential that we saw in 22-23, Steph.
I'd go a bit further than that. I'd say he's just not good enough for Super League. I think he's a very, very good Championship player. But I think I don't think he's good enough to play in Super League. If he was, he'd be there. So
when he's down, Mr. Sale.
But it's just fact, isn't it? At the end of the day, simple thingy. He does, like Joe said, he couldn't run a bath. I couldn't run a tap. So I'm not criticising him in that respect. But what I'm saying is, you've got to realise where you're at. And he's like you say, in 23, he was great in the Championship, and that I think is his level. And I think he could be an exceptional Championship player. I just don't think Super League is standard.
Yeah, I don't know what Adam's going on about. I didn't say Brisbane. Did I say London Broncos?
You said London Broncos.
I thought I said London Broncos. I did. But no, anyway, to the Meadows family on behalf of Steph, good evening.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Being a champ, just a thing of that, being a very good Championship player is more than most of us could ever dream of.
I completely agree. Yeah, absolutely. Cruel to be kind, says Kev Langers. Good evening to Kev. Kev, you're on Facebook. Please go over to our YouTube channel. It helps us to grow the channel. So maybe subscribe while you're there. Ring the bell. And don't forget the hype button by all accounts as well. Another thing that you can do to help us. Maybe even become a member. It'd be lovely to have you on board. But yeah, James Meadows, we wish him well. There's a centenary dinner, Joel, for the Castleford Tigers on its way in the next couple of weeks. 100 quid a person. Centenary dinner, 3 courses, bit of live entertainment. I believe it's at Ellen Road. So, will you be going, Joel?
Ellen Road for Castleford.
No, that's what I thought. Yeah. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, not to worry. Oh, actually, boys, you won't know this. Hot off the press, Bazza Kingston. Let's tip the wink to Bazza Kingston. I hear it on good authority that Bazza Kingston will feature in the Sports Personality of the Year. Now, of course, that's not for his athletic prowess. We know that. Good evening, Mr. Kingston. I hope you're well. But no, Baz has been
a good Championship player.
Baz has been selected to do a piece on Hull KR's treble-winning season for Sports Personality of the Year. So if you're watching the year, Bazza Kingston will be featuring on the tribute to the treble winner. So Bazza, many congratulations, mate. Outstanding.
Yeah, I don't usually watch that, but I think I'll watch it this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey, who's wigging sign? That'd be Ollie Wilson. So there you go. Yes, outstanding. So well done to Bazza. No real news other than the Paul Roll It Down interview at Saints. We've already done Kalepi Tanginoa at Warrington. But here we go. Hot off the press, ladies and gentlemen. Warrington's pre-season. I can announce that Warrington will play Widnes at 7:30 p.m. On Friday the 9th of January. Of course, Super League Raw will be in the Bluebell before that game. And this one, bit of an exclusive for Super League Raw, 30th of January, Leigh Leopard will take on the Warrington Wolves at the Halliwell Jones Stadium. 30th of January. Yours truly will be doing the commentary for both games. And looking forward to that. So yes, Warrington Wolves fans, the Vikings on the 9th of Jan, and the Leigh Leopard fans, always travelling numbers for a pre-season date with the Wire. Yes, get yourselves over there. I'm sure Mr. Sale will be with ourselves for that one. Absolutely outstanding. So Warrington Wolves pre-season underway on the 9th of January, and Leigh Leopards come to town yet again. That's on the 30th of January. Bluebell open for business as always. Wigan Warriors kit, that's due next week, we're hearing, on good authority. We're still waiting on York's to hit, but that's pretty much around the grounds. But going back to Salford, and I'm hoping this is right, I've took it from the Hull KR website. This is phenomenal. Phenomenal. So you talk about what Leigh have done. You've talked about what Wake have done. Yes to the champions. Yes to the treble winners. But this is unbelievable. This is Hull KR's home fixtures. And the vast majority have got less than 100 tickets left. And we're not even into the new year. That Brilliant. Is absolutely outstanding. But what it does prove, without question, they need to extend Craven Park. Because if they can fill that, if they can do that before the new year even hits, that for me, Steph and Greg and Joel is saying they need to extend the capacity of Craven Park, because they're missing out. I mean, there's the fear of missing out, but that's not a fear of missing out. That is, your ground's too small. There's clearly a capacity there that they need to fill.
What they need, I mean, it's great that they put those temporary stands in and stuff to give more fans the opportunity to get to games. That's great, but aesthetically, it looks terrible. If we're being honest, it looks amateurish and poor, and that's not becoming of a club now of KR's calibre as treble winners. So I know they're putting some great work in terms of a sports village type thing. What they're doing there, there's a massive investment going in at KR, which is brilliant. I'd love to see what they did with the opposite side of the in-goal area with the new stand, the east stand, I think it is there. That to be replicated on the west side would be fantastic. And I even think they could do something what like Leeds did with the south stand at Leeds, and have a terrace and maybe seating above that there. So they do need to make investments now in that stadium. They've got the fan base clearly to do that. And I know it's not as easy, especially in this day and age, but maybe, I know we've got some political people at OKR for Webster's on the council, I believe, or has a role there. You know, they need to try and get funding from local government, but also national government as well, if they can, because that's how Leigh Sports Village was built. That was done through government and local funding, as well as other partnerships and stuff. But that club deserves a real modern stadium, and they a third of the way there, aren't they, at KR? They could have a fantastic facility there, and that separate bit, what they're already doing, looks phenomenal, which is credit to that club. But temporary stands don't look good in any sport, and they need to address that now and get that ground really going for what it deserves.
Well, I mean, look, Greg, you know, at the risk of being political again on Super League Raw Weekly this evening, in an economy that's absolutely stale, why wouldn't you invest in Hull KR for them to expand the capacity or even move stadiums? Because, of course, this brings more money into their local economy and drives the figures, doesn't it? It seems ludicrous that they wouldn't look to expand it.
Well, yeah, and I think you're right, Dave. You know, the success of Craven Street has been kind of at the root of that a little bit. The marketing that's gone on there, they've got to be congratulated. Even before they became treble winners, and
Definitely.
rightly so last season, they were selling out games. They'd sold out most games last season. The season before, they were selling out games. You know, I'm not a fan of moving grounds to, say, a football stadium or you know, like Hull have done. I'm not a fan of that. No, it worked for Warrington initially at Halliwell Jones. You know, crowds are tailing off a little bit recently. It's worked for Saints. It's worked for Wigan in the past, going to a football ground. But I think if they can redevelop Hull KR, the beauty of their stadium there is they've got a lot of land around that stadium. Now, I know a lot of amateur teams play on the pitches at the side, but there's a lot of land around that could be developed, and the potential there for Hull KR to develop a bespoke rugby league ground that caters for Hull KR fans. And as Steph says, you go behind that stand and you look up and you think, my God, I wouldn't like to be sat in that when it starts bouncing. That kind of temporary stand they've got. So I think, I think on the back of the success breeds success. They've got a massive platform now to go to the council to get planning permission to develop the ground. They've got the business model there clearly. And I think, let's redevelop. Let's not move to a football stadium. Let's not move from a traditional rugby ground. I know you weren't saying that, Steph. Let's develop the existing ground, because there's certainly the land around it. They can fill in the corners, because I tell you what, when that wind whips in from the river, my God, it's cold, even in July. But
they are developing that land, Reggie. The land around it is becoming a sports village, so that's already it's already been approved, I think, or it's near approval. It's more the game, it's a bit like the Ryder Cup, isn't it? When they've got the temporary stands up for that.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what they need to. They need to get rid of that, and they need to the bit that they did behind the goals where the away fans get half of, which I still think is bonkers. That they need to go around with that now. I know it's all easy us saying that, and getting, what cost Leigh 18 million quid for the Leigh Sports Village would now cost 80. That's how much things have gone up in terms of building costs and stuff. So it's not as easy as just going, they need to do it. They need to, and also with government stuff and, that trying to get funding now is especially for sporting stuff, is very difficult. But with the success they've got in that club at the moment, and the people, the businessmen that are running it, they must be able to get investors that would come in. It's like back in Red Rum, isn't it? Everything's going in the right direction for that club. So there must be people with money out there who would back that as a good punt.
Yeah, and get the community involved as well. It becomes a community stadium. It is a community stadium because of the pitches on the outside of the stadium, but really push that community element. And you're right what you say about the temporary stands. That needs to become a more like a proper stand, if that's the technical term for it.
Oh, all I know is, Joel, is as a Huddersfield fan, you must look at what KR have achieved over the last 3 or 4 years with absolute envy. It's an incredible rags to riches story, KR, isn't it?
Yeah, we ideally need that blueprint, and if we could follow that blueprint to a T, we'd have similar success. But they've done it really well, and the fact that KR, they've got a massive waiting list for their season tickets, haven't they? I believe that you even get approved to even be able to purchase one, which is quite incredible. And the great thing about that location is it's right in the heart of East Hull. It's in the perfect location, and like you said, there's so much land around it because the nearest lot of houses, it's half a mile down the road, which is incredible. So the development, what they could do is the potential for that stadium is you could go up, so you could have a second tier possibly, and then no doubts that would maybe not sell out straight away, but it would keep building where it would sell out, and then you could have developed Craven Street a little bit more. It's fantastic as it is, but that now, because of where the club's got to, they need to develop that. It needs to be more of a professional setup, and they could still have some standing area around where Craven Street is. So for ones who want to pay maybe a little bit less money, that can't afford to pay for the season tickets, but they want to go, can stand up and watch the games in Craven Street. And then they could build the second tiers above on the east and west stand, is it? I think the two side stands that are not behind the goalposts, and they could build up. And I'm quite confident within 3 or 4 years, maybe less, they'd sell them out too.
It is a great, great story, and it's great for the game of rugby league as well. Take your shirt colours off. It is a great, great story.
Fantastic story.
And like I say, how many club chairmen, without a new year, without Big Ben ringing, would give their right arm to only have that amount of tickets left for all of those games going into a new season? Talk about financial security and knowing where you're going. incredible. Well done to all of the Robins fans. Craig Forth being a bit mischievous in the chat, saying they should move to the MKM. But I'm sure that won't happen.
That's home ticket sales as well, isn't it? It's not away tickets.
No, but they don't give many away tickets, do they?
It's 1,000 or so, isn't it? So, but it's still that's not taking anything away. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Of course, when you've got rent a crowd like Craig that goes, it's all good, isn't it? It's all good. Good evening, Mr. Forth. Hope you're well. So there you go. That's before we actually get into a little bit of a chat about Hull FC, Wakefield Trinity from last year, as we've been doing. We've just been summing up the season as we do to give you a bit of a debate on a Thursday this week. We announced it last week, and I'm going to just go there again very, very quickly. Yes, we've got the action for Alfie on the 18th of Feb, but we've also got Club Wembley. We've got Club Wembley for our members, and I listen to my members. I did say last week that members can bring up to 2 guests to Club Wembley. And then people say, well, what if I've got a family of 4? So it's going to be 3. So I'm quite happy with that. Not a problem at all. So you can have 3 guests. So families of 4s, if you've got a family of 4, then you can bring your family of 4 if you're a member. I know that some members are a part of it anyway. But like I say, if you want extended, that's fine. So look, Club Wembley, these are prime seats. It's a great part of the stadium. And if you're a member at Super League Raw, 35 quid for Club Wembley. Wow.
Count me in.
Yeah, incredible. Those tickets are up for sale now on our web. What a great Christmas present that is. Great Christmas present for somebody that. Club Wembley tickets with Super League Raw. You've not done a grand final or a Challenge Cup final with Super League Raw. You're missing out. You really are. So members, you need to get over there. You need to get those snapped up as quickly as possible. Club Wembley, Super League Raw. 2026, 35 quid. Have it, as Peter Kay would say. Have it. Right, let's go to let's have a look. We've been going in reverse order of the seasons thus far. Let's go Hull FC. So Hull FC, Wakefield Trinity without doubt was the story in terms of improvement. Championship winners to playoff Rugby League. We'll get to Wakefield in a minute. We're going to talk Wakefield in a minute. They, without doubt, were the story of the season in terms of increasing. Steph will be back in a mo. FC, and you go as far as saying Leeds as well. You go as far as saying that. I think Leeds, Hull FC and Wakey, they really were the big improvers in 2025, no question about that. We have a bit of sport with our FC fans, but it's just a bit of sport. We love them really, But let's summarise this. In 2024, let's not forget, this was a Hull FC team that finished joint bottom of Super League with London Broncos and retained their Super League position by a for and against of only 33 points. Let's just let that sink in. Yeah, bottom of the table and only stayed up by a for and against of 33 points over the London Broncos. In 2025, they went up to 7th. They went from 3 wins to 13 wins. They scored 211 more points than they did in 24, and they conceded 433 less. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. You've got to give them the due. It's without, I'd say, I'd go as far to say Wakey were the most improved. Would you say that Hull FC were the second most improved, Greg?
I would say Wakey with the surprise package and Hull were the most improved. If I'm being a pedant, but they were saved by London's performance. This year, if they could have got the home performances, if they could have won at home early doors, they'd have finished top 6.
Yeah.
Early, I think it was the 7th home game before they got a win.
Yeah.
They knocked Wigan out the cup at Wigan. They beat Wigan at Wigan. They had some great results. Just 3 wins. Just 3 wins in 2024. And last season, their early season home form, I thought really cost them, and really, they missed out on the playoffs because of that. They also had some injuries as well, but they had some Lewis Martin, top try scorer, should have been in contention for the Ashes. You know, there's a lot of positivity going towards FC. Yeah, we do take the mickey out of them. But you know, signings like James Bell for next season, he's a great player. But yeah, I think, you know, I think if you take Wakefield out of that equation because we didn't know quite how they would do, I would say Hull were, after the first 7 or 8 rounds, Hull were the most improved team last season.
Joel, I think a big reason for this has to be John Cartwright. Has to be. I mean, you know, he came over very impressive in pre and post match press conferences. You know, a man who commands respect, clearly got the respect of the FC dressing room. Did an incredible job in his first season.
He did. And, you know, it's not always about the team that you have. Obviously, having a good squad, you know, helps you massively. But you're nothing without good morale. And he clearly brought that in copious amounts to the team. Because really, there wasn't a plethora of new signings that had come through. You know, there was still a lot of the players there from there that was from the season previous. But what you did get was the difference with John Cartwright. I think what he did was he got the team playing harmoniously. They played together as friends, and you could tell that was the case from their interviews. The whole outlook on the game and the whole season was different. Everyone was so focused. They were laser focused on the job, and they seemed to enjoy training. They said it was very difficult, but they enjoyed it because of John. They said he's a great coach. They found that they got the best out of themselves because of him. So yeah, you don't have to have the best of squads, because we looked at the squad and we thought it was a very aging squad that they had. We thought they needed some younger players in, and then lo and behold, they did so well. You know, far better than we thought they could ever do. So it just shows, doesn't it, that the type of coach that you has one of the biggest impacts on how the season comes. Yes, the coach doesn't take the field, but he certainly has the stronghold on who has the type of outlook on who does take the field, and he obviously did a really good job in that respect, and he got them all enjoying the rugby again, and that has a lot to be said about itself.
Yeah, I mean, there's talk of, like, you know, Submarine Carl there in the chat saying that they were only finished 7th because Warrington and Catalan were so poor. It doesn't matter.
No.
What's in front of you. The bottom line is they finished 7th, and did they improve year on year? Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did.
And you know, Steph, I at the start of the season, I think Ian had a bit of sport me saying they finished in the top 4, and I laughed at it and said I'd show me backside of me window if that was the case, and I was safe on that. They were never going to finish top 4. But I don't think anybody expected them to be as close as they were the top 6 either. And, you know, what John Cartwright, I felt, did really well last season was, you know, the players that he brought in. I mean, Hardaker was just done, but I mean, Zach Hardaker just nobody thought Hardaker was going to go to Hull FC and perform like that. Many people thought he was going there for a swan song and a paycheck. Well, he proved all them doubters wrong. He was incredible. All of those boys really picked up for him. And he galvanised the young lads, you know, Davy Litton, Harvey Barron, you know, Lewis Martin, as Greg's already said. It was a really good, balanced approach, wasn't it?
It was, and I think the key for me with Hull FC season, it's fair enough saying, you know, they only finished 7th because Catalan Wire were off. But what I'd say to that is, imagine if Will Price and John Asiata had stayed fit.
I know him in SSA.
I know him in SSA. You know, those three. Yeah, those 3 players, a massive. You know, Caesar dropped off a cliff when Asiata got injured. You know, he's that good of a player, John Asiata. But that's always the risk that came with signing John. You know, he had his injuries towards the end of his league career. So, and Will Price as well had some magical moments at fullback. Don't forget, Zach Hardaker played fullback, centre, second row because of injuries to players like Will Price. So if they can stay fit this year, they will be challenging the top 6 again, definitely. And with the signings they've made as well, they're going to be stronger again. And the thing is, they've got to cover Asiata, they've now got James Bell, who's a great player, as Reggie alluded to.
Mm.
So, right FC off your parrot. I mean, people laugh at him. We've had our jokes at him. And to be fair to Ian Judson, he did actually say, I think, that they would finish outside the top 6. And he got it spot on. They were just outside the top 6. If those players can stay fit this year for them, and that's the big if, because as someone alluded to as well in the comments, it's another year on for those players who were already getting quite old. They will think it, but I wouldn't write FC off. I think they've got a very good chance this season.
Well, we'll get into that in January when we start to preview the squad. I mean, the big blow is Herman Essay out for the first half of the season, for the first part of the season. That's a hammer blow. John Asiata, we called John Asiata. There was a potential he was going to fall down. He did, and it had a massive consequence again. He goes into another season. Right?
I said typically at Leigh as well, wasn't it? Where he got, and Tom Amone got injured at Leigh as well.
Yeah, it was funny. I was speaking about Tom Amone today with Gary Chambers, and he needs a big season. He does. Tom Amone really does this year for KR, who's a shadow of himself at Castleford. We discussed that at great length. Volstagg there, I have to agree, Volstagg, where Hardacres was concerned. I've not seen as many positions as that since last opened the Kama Sutra, mate. Unbelievable. Absolutely superb. Incredible stuff. The kids are now
Mrs. Kane.
Yeah, the kids are now turning around to, what's the Kama Sutra? What is that Rugby League book, Dad? I do apologise to all those who have to now explain that one. Maybe a Christmas present. Anyway, let me move on. But no, look, outstanding, absolutely outstanding stuff. Look, I just want to end on where FC. Look, I agree with some people in the chat. Will FC back up next season? I don't know. I think Warrington should be better. I think Catalan should be better. And the ones who were above them this year should be better. So it's going to be a difficult season. They brought a bit of flesh, but like I say, we will review them in January, and we will. But I think what we would say is that there's certain elements of that squad that is very exciting. Will Price, if he can have a full unblemished season, he'll add a lot to them. I think Davy Litton and Lewis Martin as a combination was growing throughout last season. Lewis Martin, of course, finishing top try scorer. On the other side, Harvey Barron, who has got all the credentials to be even better than Lewis Martin potentially. He's an incredible player. So there's a lot to be happy about there. Surprised they've allowed Balmforth to go out on loan again. I thought Deneve at Catalan. I thought he'd have been sniffing around at a spot at Huddersfield, but there you go. But yeah, well done to FC. I don't think anybody would have foreseen off the back of 24 the FC we got in 25, and it was great for the competition that FC became competitive again in 25, and let's hope that's the case in 26 because we want as competitive a Super League as possible. Speaking of competitive, let's move on to the mighty Trin, up the Trin. All of our guilty pleasures in 2025. Daryl Powell. Greg, will start with you. Let's start with Daryl Powell. Redemption. Daryl Powell showed why he is a great coach. We saw what he did at Leeds. We saw what he did at Castleford. Yes, Warrington didn't work out for him, but by God, is he come back biting at Wakefield Trinity. Incredible. Absolutely incredible what he did in terms of pulling that squad together and getting them the brand of rugby. Because let's be fair, there were times last year, Catalan comes to mind, where some of the rugby they were playing was so easy on the eye.
Oh, yeah, against Warrington as well at home, where they absolutely schooled us. Yeah, you know what? He had a lot to prove, Daryl Powell. He dropped down into the Championship to take over at Wakefield after, a fair few years at Super League level. Reputation, I wouldn't say so much in tatters, but certainly bruised. And what a way to bounce back. Top 6 in your first season, third highest scorers in the league. If they hadn't have had their result capped at 48-0 against Salford because the game wasn't played, the point difference could have been higher. They get a dream teamer in Mike McMeekin. They win at Leeds' first game of the season. I think he bounced back in the best way possible. Daryl Powell, and I for one, I'm delighted for him. When it was announced that he was coming to Warrington, I was made up. I thought, this is it. This is going to be,
your year.
It's going to be our year. Yes, our year, and it's going to be our year for the next 5 years with Daryl. Didn't work out. for whatever reason, it's all in the annals of history now. Whatever reasons it didn't work out at Warrington for him, he goes back to Yorkshire, he goes back to West Yorkshire. He stamps his brand of coaching over there, and he's bounced back well. And they've got a solid base for the future. The ground improvements are going to help. It's exciting times if you're a Wakey fan.
Well, I mean, this is what we do at Super League Raw. We celebrate the game of rugby league, and Wakefield is another great story. We've just said about KR. What a wonderful story that is for our competition. And Wakey are going exactly the same way. The old guard need to be looking over the shoulder because both on and off the field, Mr. Ellis in what he's doing in terms of the leadership of the club. He was bringing Daryl in, Joel, and I think it's easy, isn't it, to look at Wakefield's season and just bask in it. But within it wasn't just the flair players. It wasn't, Lino was exceptional again. He had a shocking 23 when they went down. He came flying back in 25, which was incredible. Jowett showed that he's a Super League player. Another player that there was question marks over in 23, had a phenomenal championship season. A history-making point scoring season in 24 in the championship for Jowett. Carried on that form. When Rourke came in, he was incredible. Young players like Jaden Myers that are coming in on the rail, who were exciting. Another young prospect that he got right. Just so much to admire. And that's before you talk about the old guard, the McMeekins and the Pitts of this world. I mean, it was just phenomenal, Joel. Absolutely. It was a pleasure to watch Wakefield last season.
It was. They got things right across the park. The backs, the halves, the forwards, second rows. They had the backup where they needed it. Like you say, Josh Rourke hardly got any game time for quite some time. And we saw how good he was when he was at London. Oliver Russell that they signed didn't get much game time because Lino was so good. So and that once again comes from, and this is where I came in when Reggie were talking about him, was Daryl Powell. He's once again, we'll go back to this thing about the coaches. The coaches have a massive impact on the players. And he didn't have a good time at Warrington, but he was great at Cass. He's been great at Wakefield. It seems like the teams that are upcoming through the championship into Super League, that's like his niche. It's like he does really well with bringing teams up who are not meant to be doing anything good. And Wakey had a fantastic season. They did far better than what we initially thought. I know a couple of you thought that knew that Wakey were going to do pretty well, but when you come into Super League, it is a different thing. I know they've only been in the championship a season or two, but when you've come into Super League, it's just a different animal. And especially over the past couple of seasons, the whole league has really got better, barring a couple of squads, mine included. But the squads have generally got better, and for Wakey to be in there, fighting in the top six and being there or thereabouts with Hull FC, it was an incredible season to watch, and it's what we need. We don't want to keep seeing the same teams winning and being in the top six because it becomes boring. Maybe not for those who are supporting clubs, but for a league to survive and a sport to survive, you need that competition, and that has to go right down now to 14 teams. So hopefully that we're going to see that happening more over the next couple of seasons.
Before we bring Steph in on this, Joel, I mean, as a Yorkshireman, it's great to see what Wakefield has done because there has been an imbalance, hasn't there? Yes, KR's just won their first grand final, but let's be fair, south of the Pennines, west of the Pennines, whatever you want to say, has had the lion's share since the domination of Leeds all those years ago. And it's fair to say, if you look at the league tables over the last 4 or 5 years, there has been an absolute imbalance between Lancashire and Yorkshire in terms of top and bottom. So for a Wakefield Trinity, a Hull KR, you look at the top, the top 6 was an even 50-50 split last season in terms of Yorkshire, Lancashire. It's a great thing for the competition, isn't it?
Yeah, within Yorkshire, West Yorkshire is predominantly the bigger rugby league fan base because you've got more clubs that are in there. All right, East, you've got the Hull, so you've got East and West Hull. But like you say, as regards further into Yorkshire, it is more west. You've got Leeds, Bradford, Wakefield, Huddersfield, and now having Bradford back in, having Leeds looking a bit more dominant now that they are doing.
Don't forget York, Joe. Don't forget York.
I'm saying West Yorkshire. You know, I know York's coming in as North Yorkshire, but you can band them in with like the Hull clubs. Now, you know, it's just it is part of Yorkshire, of course, but the heartlands of where we've originated from. You know, Leeds, Bradford, and Huddersfield, and Halifax, and all them. Though they've all been part of West Yorkshire, and it's nice to see our part of our county being represented properly. And now, with having the likes of Hull KR doing so well, Hull FC now seem to be on a bit of a march back up the table, and seeing York in the league, it balances it up now from Yorkshire to Lancashire, and it might then pave a way for us to hopefully have like an Origin or War of the Roses type affair, because now we've got nearly as many Yorkshire clubs as we've got Lancashire clubs that are in the top flight. And when you do have that balance, you know, you've got a much more of a opportunity to have them War of the Roses, which I think we really need. We need that in this country. We don't want to try and emulate Origin. That's an NRL thing, but we need to have the War of the Roses.
I agree. I completely agree. And I saw what you did there. Halifax Giants coming to a stadium near you soon. But anyway, absolutely, yeah. But no, Steph. Look, I mean, for me, we've got to, you know. I'm at the risk of upsetting me, Mr. Sale. I felt last year that Steph's loyalty to Tom Amone clouded his judgment on how poor he played at times. He likes it. He likes a forward. Does our Steph? So let's go to, for me, the new Tom Amone, which was Caius Fiatilli. Fiatilli, mate, last season for Wakefield, like Tom Amone before him at Leigh. He's got to back it up. You know, that's the key element now for Caius. But as a one season, here you go, have a look at me. By God, was he impressive last season.
Oh, absolutely. And this is what fans don't get excited when they sign players, club sign players that are not NRL experienced. They, you know, New South Wales or Queensland Cup players. There's some absolute diamonds in there. None more so at my club with, like you say, Tom Amone previously, Kai O'Donnell, players like that. But Fiatilli was absolutely exceptional, and there'll be more this season that come through. I think the big difference here is the directors of rugby and the people who sign these players. Wakefield have got a great one is it Steve Mills? I think it is. Wakefield, phenomenal talent spotter who's brought Kais over, and will bring more over for them. That role is so underrated by fans at clubs in terms of identifying talent, because you can bring in aging NRL players on big contracts, or you can bring in your Tom Amones or Caius Fiatillis or Kai O'Donnells, or there's numerous other ones that have been done. Chris Chester is another person who's been brilliant at doing that, and it will benefit Castleford massively because of that as well, because these players come over not on NRL money for Super League, and really want to, and they're hungry as well to prove themselves. So that's the big deal. So yes, you will get a few flops, but then you'll also get some diamonds, and Caius is definitely forms into that. And I can guarantee you now there'll be a lot of top 4 Super League sides who would pay exceptional money to get Caius in their side at the moment. So it just goes to show, just because they haven't got that NRL regular for the Cowboys or for the Raiders or for the Storm, doesn't mean that they aren't going to come in and set Super League on fire. Jai Whitbread, another example of a player like that, on the fringe of the NRL. But Wakefield have got that, and I'm sure his name. I hope I'm saying it. I'm sure it's Steve Mills, has done a phenomenal job. One of the best signings that they've made there is him, and he's assisted Daryl massively in getting Wakefield to where they are.
Absolutely, and again, you've seen them sign up Caius Fiatilli on a long-term contract at Leopard. I always get his name, Hamlin Leopard. I need to get that right this year, but they've signed him up on a long-term contract. He's doing the right things. It's exciting times for Wakefield Trinity. It's great for the sport. There's a stupid chat going on where, as Bradford's concerned, just look at what's actually printed on a league table. Bradford Bulls. That's it. Done. They call the Bradford Bulls. I don't care what's at company's house. They're the Bradford Bulls. That's it. and that's just where we are. There's no point in pulling straws and all the rest of it. It's the Bradford Bulls. It doesn't. As fans, you don't need to get into that level of detail.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Club and business are two different things. The club is the club, and the business is the business. The company's house is what the business is, and the club is what the fans have always supported.
It's the same badge. It's the same name.
It's the same ground.
Just get on with it. I mean, look, this is not. We don't split hairs here. We celebrate the game. The Bulls are back. Game on. Game on. Joel can't wait to welcome Bradford Bulls back to Halifax Giants. Anyway, moving swiftly on.
Can I just make a point though? What Steph said, because he's totally right. These players that aren't playing in NRL but are playing in the two cups below. It's a real good pathway Super League for them and it's great for us because you're seeing the emergence of these types of players like Caius. We've waxed lyrical about him like we did Herman the year before, and you look at Kai's younger brother Asher. No one knows who Asher is. But what he's been doing in training at Huddersfield has been immense. I'm really looking forward to watching him play. All right, Chris Patolo that we've signed. Yeah, he has played a bit of NRL, but he's also played a lot of Queensland Cup. And it's like, these guys who no one knows about, and we're seeing the emergence of them, we're getting them on a steal. So keep sending them over because it's just fantastic for our club, and it's good for their marketability as well.
Do you know what, Joel? You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, how many players have we got in Super League next season that are in Queensland Cup and New South Wales, the lower leagues in New South Wales? They're really worth keeping our eye on next.
Okay.
And just like that, Reggie's gone. He's back. But yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It must have been while you were kissing him, mate, that you took the word right out of his mouth. But anyway, there was I'll tell you what was interesting. When you cut in on Steph, then I thought you were going to put me right where the Halifax Giants were concerned. I thought you were going to say no, mate, it's the Huddersfield Panthers. But anyway, we move on.
Huddersfield Blue Sox.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, it's Huddersfield Leopard.
Remember that Halifax Blue Sox? Wow, mate.
Wow, there's
Hey, that was a different team. Anyway, well, that's by the by. Right, St Helens. We've got the time, so let's go there. St Helens, of course, finished 5th last season, up from 6th. So some would argue that's an improvement, Volstagg. Some would argue. If we're going to do the autopsy on St Helens season, we'll start with Wellens in the fact that, look, I think you can understand why Wellens has left. You can understand that. I think, Wellens' appointment, you can be a great assistant coach, and you can be, but transferring that into a head coach. And I think that he was always on, like Jack Sinfield, perfect example where a player's concerned. We've been saying for years, Jack Sinfield should never. He had to get out of Leeds. The spectre of his dad loomed large, and it's the same as a club legend like Paul. For Paul to go up as a head coach at a club that he's played for with distinction and won countless titles with, that's a tough gig. Better to go away, earn your stripes, and earn the right to coach your club in that respect. So I think he was always on a bit of a hiding to nothing, where we felt as a collective at Super League Raw, and I know that the members felt the same way, we just felt that it was a bit distasteful the way Paul was being treated. There was no way Paul wasn't going to be, he was asked to be a coach, there was no way he was going to turn that down. It's very similar to Ethan Havard playing in the first test against Australia. He's never going to turn it down. It doesn't mean he was right to start. And it's the same with Paul. He's never going to turn down the opportunity to coach Saints, but injuries played a part. He never had a clean wicket, did he? Ever in the whole time he was coach, he never had a full squad to pick from. So it's understandable that he left, and it's disappointing the way that some sections of the Saints crowd dealt with Paul. But on balance, it's probably right that Paul has moved on. I think we'd all say that. My surprise last year was not that Warrington beat them 3 out of 3. That's surprising enough, isn't it? Warrington beat a team 3 times last year. Who'd have thought that? You know what I mean? Steph's that good. He's turned the screen off. He's like, really?
I think I've been drinking.
Really?
I don't know what happened there.
You were that amazed. You went to fact find. Did they really beat him 3 times? Yeah, they did. It's the only thing that Warrington dined out on last season. And Paul will be wanting to put that right in game 1 of 2026. But I mean, there was a period round 5, Challenge Cup, and round 6, if you remember. They beat Leeds in the Challenge Cup in round 5, and then they beat Wigan in round 6, and you think, oh, here we go, 3 on the bounce and a good 3 wins, and then after that it just went downhill again. Greg, I'll start with you. St Helens, a team of that standing in the game. It's fair to say that the last 2 seasons, whilst they've been in and around it, at no point have they threatened. And if we want a competitive Super League, you need Saints to be punching harder than they have been.
Of course you do, and I think McManus has been quoted in the press today as saying that they kind of rested on the laurels a little bit and didn't move, that they let other teams around them gain some advantage against them where they thought they could just carry on the way they were.
Yeah,
they were bitten with Kieran Cunningham, a club legend, that didn't work out. You'd think they do the due diligence on Paul Wellens, and he didn't do a bad job. You've got to realise that they were hit. They were really, really unlucky with injuries under Paul Wellens' tenure. If they've had less bad luck with their injuries, who knows what might have happened? But season before last, they were battered with injuries. They were better this season, but they had injuries at vital times in the season. Yeah. So, going back to your question, we need a powerful, strong St Helens to challenge. We really do. Paul Rowley, I'd like to think he's the guy to do it. He's certainly got a lot of kudos with what he's done in the past. I'd like to think, a lot of coaches sometimes will work better, like Daryl Powell, for example, will work better with the less, and I don't mean to be detrimental here anyway, the less glamorous maybe teams in Rugby League. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, you're absolutely 100% right, Dave. We need a St Helens that's going to challenge and going to be up there. And we need to go back to those games where, the Wigan Saints game, where Warrington aren't guaranteed to win. As much as that hurts me to say it, we need games where you don't go in there thinking you're going to win this quite easier, especially against teams like St Helens. We need them to be challenging.
Well, look, Joel, I think we'll get a better St Helens in 26. I think Paul will get them playing a better brand of attack in Rugby League. We know that their defence has been good. The defence has not been the problem at Saints. The problem at Saints has been breaking down attacks. That's where the problem has been. They didn't really have a consistent spine in 2025. They're going to miss Morgan Knowles. We know that. But for me, Joe, what is I think certainly last year, I wouldn't say 24. But certainly last year, I don't think anybody feared Saints, which is unthinkable. You feared the name, and I mean, without doubt, I mean, on the panel, Leigh were the most competitive team in 25. I'll get Steph's point once you've spoken in terms of, did he really fear them? On paper, did he really fear them in those big games against Saints? Or did he fear the name? I mean, I think, Joel, it will be a better Saints. I think they'll play a more attractive brand of rugby in 26. But in 25, for me, the 24 was bad, but I think in 25, the fear factor went completely in 25, and they've got to get that back.
Yeah, it was an escalation of things as well. The injuries is just one thing, but everyone gets injuries, so you can't always blame that on everything. The not the club, but the fans gave Wellens some unreal stick, and no matter how much they say that they don't look at the media, they do hear and see the comments.
Yeah.
They see what people write. And when it's constant barrage onto a club legend like Paul Wellens, that's going to take its toll and it's going to have an impact on performance. And no one can tell me otherwise. It just does. and it massively affects the players. I know that for sure. So, there was many dominoes that were falling for St Helens last year. And I think that's why it then caused this thing where the likes of Leigh, would go to the Saints, be it home or away, and just think it's another win. And you shouldn't think like that. Certainly not against someone who's, a club that's been littered with different trophies and accolades over the years. But it just shows that where they did get to at one point, and the fact that even when they were in fifth, the fans were going mental because they weren't in the top three. It's deluded thinking.
Yeah.
But now things have changed. The injuries, I don't think, is going to be much of an issue. Yes, Morgan Knowles is going to be missed, but Paul Rowley, he did what he did with Salford at very much a struggling Salford team. Forget what Ian Watson did at Salford. Look at what Paul Rowley's done.
It's all going off, isn't it? It's all going off. You were saying, Joe?
Are we back? Yeah, we're back. I think he's going to be the final jigsaw piece in the jigsaw puzzle for sure. And then having a settled spine, Paul's going to make sure of that. He's going to make sure that his spine is the right spine, and it's probably going to stay that way throughout the season.
Well, yeah. Well, he did say that. He did say that, and he's in the sit down that's available. Like I say, if you've not watched that, it's a fascinating watch. It is. It's on St. Helens' YouTube channel. It's well worth a watch, and he speaks candidly about he's already decided what the spine is, and the players know the spine, and he said that he intends on that being the spine for the season. So whichever spine gets picked for that first game at Warrington, that's where Paul is headed. I mean, Steph, I said I'd come into you. I mean, look, 3 years ago, Leigh would have gone into a Saints game fearful 3 years ago. It's Saints were fearful. Forget the name, but just based on personnel on the field, and did they lose the fear factor for you as a Leigh fan? When you were coming up against Leigh in those big games, like you had your eyes set on at one point, very, very close to being top two. Did Saints have the same fear factor for you as a Leigh fan as they maybe had 3 years ago? Did they lose a bit of that last year?
No, I think from a Leigh perspective, I think Saints are one of the teams we've beaten the most in Super League since we came back in. That might be factually incorrect. I stand to be corrected on that one, but I don't recall. I think they beat us both at their place in the first 2 seasons, and then we beat them at their place for the first time last season. But I don't think they beat us at ours since we've been back in Super League. But yeah, I get your point. It always seems to be a big game against St. Helens. But I think if you're a Super League club who's half decent defensively, then I don't think you've got much to worry about against Saints at the moment. That may well change with Paul Rowley at the helm, and that's been Saints' killing, because they've always been known as the entertainers. They do so much stuff off the cuff. That has dwindled away over the past few seasons, and that's what Paul's got to really focus on now. It's difficult this because we're talking Paul and Paul, aren't we? But Paul Rowley really needs to get that entertainers bit back, and that will bring fear with it if you don't know what Saints are going to do. On Paul Wellens, I always think it's a massive mistake if you're a legend, and I mean a legend of a club, to go there and coach them, because it only goes one way. There's only one way for a coach, is that you're going to get sacked, because especially at a club like Saints who demand greatness, that's never a given, and I'm struggling while everyone was talking there to think of a player that has gone, who would be classed as a great of that club, who's then gone on to coach them and been successful. Who are you throwing at me, Reggie?
Alex Murphy.
Yeah.
That'd be a shot.
Long time.
Well, yes, and one of my absolute heroes, and 1971 captain lifting the trophy for Leigh, the Challenge Cup. But it's very rare, isn't it? Very, very rare.
It is.
And I'd say it's happened on quite a lot of occasions, and it's really sad to see as well, isn't it? That was the thing for me, to see Paul suffering at a club that he loves so much and was giving his heart to. It wasn't his fault.
No. He gave his best, mate. And we said that.
He did. And the biggest conundrum was the sailor Wellsby Lomax. That spine problem never went away for Saints last year. The defence was outstanding, right up there with the best in Super League, and they never got good idings.
No.
Last season at all. The defence was always exemplary. Nobody feared them in attack. That was the thing, and they were so easy to defend against.
Yeah.
And I think when you mentioned about fear, Dave, from a fan's perspective, I wasn't scared of Saints. I didn't think they had a Bevan French kind of moment in them. They haven't got that ability to do that at the moment, and that's so unusual from a Saints perspective. And this is where I think Paul will live or die by the sword on this in terms of his philosophy and how he approaches a massive club like St Helens. It's if he gets the attack right, the defence will look after itself. If you score more than them, it doesn't matter. Yeah. So how you defend, the good thing for Paul is that defence is already there. They've got the players who can defend. The key conundrum for me is solving that half-back issue and what you do with Sailor. And if he gets that right, be that play him, drop him, whatever, he'll have to have that argument with Mike Rush and McManus or whoever it is who are signing quota players and marquee players. But Paul has got I know Paul, and one thing he will do is stand by, it's his way or the highway. And he will have told them that when he took that job. He has got to be in charge of that club and how they play rugby and how they want him to coach, and they can't get involved in it. And that could be massively beneficial for Saints.
Well, the interesting thing is, we know Hastings is 7. Paul said that again. If you go and watch that, what we're plugging a little bit tonight, he says it. Jackson Hastings is not coming over to sit on the bench. He's 7. He starts. What's interesting is that Tristan Saylor is on that panel with Rowley and McManus. That's interesting. That Tristan Saylor is sat there. So it's going to be fascinating. And I think I think as much as I would go as far as to say, and early in the show I put it on the graphic, that I do genuinely think the tie of the round in round 1 is Leigh against Leeds. It's it's 3rd against 4th last season. It's a belting tie. It's a cracking tie. I think what is going to be very interesting is the game at the HJ, because you've got two sides there that it's going to, from a Rowley perspective, what is that spine going to look like? What does a Paul Rowley St Helens look like in game 1? And then Sam Burgess is Warrington. What version are we getting? How well have the new recruits settled? We know there's going to be a lot of debuts on that field. So for me personally, fascinating game at the HJ, but without doubt, the tie of the round will be at the Leigh Sports.
To be honest, Dave, if he plays Sailor at 6 and Hastings can open up the gaps for him, that's quite frightening.
It could be interesting.
That's French field.
The problem for Saints for me is 9.
They'll play Clark and have Lomax on the bench.
They've got Burns.
Lomax is not ahead of 9.
No, well, that's what they'll do.
Well, you say that, but lads, look, I mean, again, we'll look at the squads in January. We'll look at the squads in Jan. But what I would say is this: I think the fact that Johnny Lomax has given up the captaincy to Matty Leigh suggests that Johnny Lomax will not be in many 17s.
No.
That's my view.
I think Lomax will be a utility player on the bench.
Well, we'll wait and see, because don't forget you've got Jake Burns sitting there as well, so that's an interesting one.
Coach player.
Lots of teams have proved over the last few years you don't need a specialist number 9 on the bench.
No. You just need versatility, don't you? And,
versatility.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fascinating to see those 17s that take the field at the HJ in February. The last thing on St Helens, though, for me, look, they have got some wonderful talent. Harry Robertson, I think, is going to be one to watch in 26. We'd all say that. I think he's going to be better again. Owen Dagnall came from nowhere. He has all the tools to be a sensational winger in Super League. And it's going to be fascinating to see his progression under Paul in 2026. George Delaney's steady away. He's got to sort his discipline out. George Delaney is a steady Eddie. He's going to be a St Helens player for many years to come. He's already established. The two for me that is a real conundrum for Paul. is Noah Stevens. How Noah Stevens didn't get... I mean, the fact that they've re-signed Parsi has completely and utterly bamboozled me. Noah Stevens should have been getting far more game time in 25 than he got, and he didn't. And they need... And, everybody sees Noah Stevens as the long-term successor in the front row. Well, he's got to start playing games. In 24, his impact was incredible. And in 25, it was diluted. And I don't get why it was diluted. And again, I think this is where Paul, perhaps in retrospect, would look back and go, why didn't I play? He had nothing to lose. The fans had turned on Parsi. They weren't get Noah Stevens playing. What? I just never got that. And for in those dark times under Paul, I didn't get why Noah Stevens wasn't even getting in the 17. A lot of the time, he wasn't even 18th man. You're going, how's this happened? And then the other, we're talking Sailor, we're talking Hastings, we're talking Wellesby, we're not talking George Whitby. And that is another big one for me, is that you've got Noah. Those two of all of what Paul does, Robertson's going to be outstanding. Dagnall, I think, is going to be outstanding. Yes, he's got the conundrums with Sailor and Wellesby, but the two players that I'm really interested in what he's going to do with is Noah Stevens and George Whitby. They're the two for me. It's like, because for me now, and how many times have I said this in final whistles when we've been having socials with the members? There comes a point when a player is too good for reserve grade and he's too good for championship. And Noah Stevens and George Whitby are in that bracket. They're in that bracket. They are now. You've got Warrington Wolves. But I'm pretty confident Ewan Irwin's going to see a lot of game time. That might surprise some Wire fans, but Ewan Irwin this year will see a lot of game time in Super League. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And I'm just going to put that out there now, right? George Whitby are put in exactly the same bracket, and Noah Stevens are put in exactly the same bracket. These two players, for me, they should have played more. I mean, we were saying it, weren't we, in the playoff series against? I mean, they got through. I mean, don't get me wrong, they got through Leeds, but we were saying, where's George Whitby? Where's George Whitby in them? He'd been outstanding at Halifax. He'd been phenomenal at Halifax. His kicking game at Halifax was unbelievable, and they didn't bring him back. And I don't know about you lads, but though I say I'm fascinated to see what St. Helens look like under Paul, but I'm also fascinated to see what's he going to do with Stevens, what's he going to do with Whitby, because these two lads, for me, they're ready. They're pretty much ready now. These lads should be getting, I'm going to say, 15 appearances in 2026. They're at that point in the career. Yeah. They're probably worthy of 15 appearances. Do you see him getting it, Greg?
I don't know. But with Paul Rowley, he likes to promote youth. The one thing I'm really, really surprised is Noah Stevens hasn't been picked up by somebody else in the off-season. I would have expected him to be picked up maybe by Bradford Bulls, by York Knights. He's a Super League player, and he's proved it season before last. So, the thing we know about Paul Rowley is he will promote, he will give youngsters the chance. So I hope so. I really hope so that he will.
What's your thoughts, Joel? Do you think they'll get some game time?
I think they will get some game time, but I think, unfortunately, and I hate to say this, they're going to have to wait for an injury or two, or a dip in form. And the second that happens, they need to be ready to fire on all cylinders. I think they've got everything in their arsenal to be wonderful players, because they are, but they are going to have to wait for an opening, either injury or lacking performance. But everyone must come on the 18th of February, because you may be able to ask one of them a question.
Oh, there you go. Joel hinting at another appearance on the 18th of February for the Action for Alfie fundraiser at the Bluebell. More to come on that one. But yes, announcements. You St. Helens fans. Yes, we could be having an announcement very soon on that one. Look, Steph, I mean, Whitby's now, isn't he? Have you seen enough of George to say he's now?
Yeah, I have, and I think he came across exceptional on TV when he was interviewed by Sky as well, which showed maturity. Which is, people go, what you're about there? It's about what he does on the field. Well, yeah, it is what he does on the field, but to show that character tells me that he's ready to make the step to first team at Super League at Super League level. He's definitely got the talent. Look at players like Flanagan at Huddersfield. They shot off this year. He has got 100% the same ability as Flanagan. He's like I'm with you, Dave. His kicking game's phenomenal, really, really good, and that is a massive part of a young player's career. If they can do that confidently at Super League level, that's huge. The rest will come. The partnerships will form. His links with his centres, his wingers, that'll all come as well. But yeah, I really hope he does get an opportunity. Paul is the type of coach to let him do that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Whitby getting some game time at Saints this year.
Well, Adam in the chat, Adam Bowl saying, don't be surprised if Hastings at 13. That ain't happening. Hastings is 7. Yeah, Hastings is 7. I'll go out on a limb. I do not see Jackson Hastings playing 13 for St. Helens.
They'll put Whitby can play 6.
Yeah. Well, Hastings is not playing 13.
No,
never in a million years. I don't see that in a million years. Hastings will have come over demanding one to play and where he's playing. And believe me, he will not have asked to play loose forward. It's just not. That ain't happening. It ain't happening. What I would say is, there's not a lot of news stories out there at the moment. You've got to fill your column inches somewhere, I suppose, is what I would say on that one. But no, it's fascinating. In closing, what is fascinating about those 3 clubs going back to the Hull FC right at the beginning in terms of can Hull FC do it again? We've talked about you'd hope a Catalan Dragons improvement, you'd hope a Warrington improvement, you'd hope a Saints improvement, and you'd hope a Wakey improvement. Will Saints finish higher than 5th? Joel, yes or no?
Yes.
Fabulous. We won't hold you to where. There's a lot of. We'll do that in January. Greg, will they finish higher than 5th? Saints 2026.
Yes.
Steph.
no.
I don't think they will either. I don't think they will. I put them holding. I put them holding. Can Wakey be playoff in 2026, Joel? Can Daryl Powell back it up? Just yes or no for now.
No.
Greg?
No.
Steph?
Read the question.
Can Wakefield be playoff again in 2020? If it's a 6 playoff, let's not cheat and go 8. 16 playoff, because it's not been announced either way, has it? I'd expect they'll stay at 6. Can he finish 6th again, Wakefield?
Yes.
You think he'll finish 6th?
I think they could finish higher.
So you've said what? So hang on. You said you said Saints won't. So okay, maybe taking over from Saints. Okay, see what you did there. Fair enough. And Hull FC, can they break into the top 6 in 2026, Joel?
No.
Greg?
No.
Steph? No. I'm going to go no as well. Of course, we'll do our predictions, and let's be fair, boys. Actually, some of us did quite well last year. Double winners, KR. Didn't put them down for Challenge Cup, but I put them there for Shield and Grand Final. I'll take that. I did rubbish on the prediction league, but did all right there. But anyway, hey, another incredible 2 hours have flown by there, boys. Great conversation, great debate. 2 Super League Raw weeklies left in 2025. We will be pulling the curtain down in 2. We're back to Tuesday next week and the week after. So yeah, we'll be pulling the curtain down at that point. We'll be having our break for Christmas, and then we'll announce when we're coming back in the new year. We've got lots of exciting things coming in 2026, some new shows, lots of exciting stuff. Of course, we've also got the likes of the Challenge Cup and Club Wembley at 35 quid, more great stuff like that coming. And in terms of those 2 Warrington games, I can announce that 2 members will be coming to the Widnes game and will be coming to the League game. We will have 2 tickets up for grabs for pretty much most of the Warrington games this season. So that's good. So if your team is coming to town, you might have the opportunity of coming for free. Again, that will be just for members, though. We're only giving tickets to members. We're not giving them to non-members. Only members can win tickets at Super League Raw. Many people who are members have already got their money back. already got it back in terms of what they've won and everything else. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's another fantastic edition of Super League Raw Weekly. It wouldn't be the same without a bit of weekly, would it, boys? Go well, and hey, if you're counting the days down, only 4 more days to weekly. Have a nice day. All the best. Bye for now.